Welcome back. Today's talk show intends to provide you and business leaders with a perspective on the evolving situation, implications for the companies, and steps they should be taking now to overcome the COVID-19 pandemic. To discuss this and more, I have with me Anna Yu of Yu Consulting Group and Stephanie Mann, CEO, 1855. Anna is a business consultant and advisor, providing her expertise to early-stage businesses as well as small, medium, and large enterprises experiencing change or growth. Her services include strategic planning, operational excellence, and coaching for high performance. Fortunately enough, we at Bay Street Diary also have her on our advisory board. Stephanie, on the other hand, is the CEO of 1855, a tech-based accelerator, and she's assisting high-potential, established tech and innovation companies on their paths to commercialization. Welcome, ladies. Anna, Stephanie, thanks for being here on Bay Street Diary.
Thanks
so
having
much
us.
for having us.
It's a pleasure. Let's get straight to the point, Anna. Do you think the worst is yet to come? Businesses, especially the smaller ones, are still under the shelter and cover of support provided by the government. What happens when the support umbrella is taken off?
Well, you know what? Certainly, businesses have been pushed to their limit, and hopefully they've been taking advantage of the government programs, the wage subsidies, some of the student subsidies. There's a lot of talk about the second wave coming, and my counsel to companies have always been: make sure you test your financial model and do it frequently. And if you haven't done so, create your short-term and long-term priorities, and keep your cash flow in check. The other piece of advice I would have is also take a look at some of the student programs. A lot of the colleges and higher ed universities have student programs where they do fund student help, and keep in check your cost structure. And that's really key. Is cash conservation will be key as you enter the next stage, 6 to 12 months period.
Wow, that's a great suggestion. If companies can actually take care of their cash position, they can strive to take care of that. It will also give them breathing space.
Sure, exactly. And, don't forget about the government grants and student grants that are available out there. All too often, they kind of get missed, right? It's a great time to innovate and take advantage of some of the innovation grants as well.
Sure. So, Stephanie, talking about the tech industry under the current circumstances, what are the new challenges for entrepreneurs?
I think coming through a recovery process with COVID, there have been a few things that have surfaced. Echoing what Anna, you said about financial modeling, making sure there is a really strong reserve flow. I think Finances 101 for personal financing is always to have 3 months of salary set aside. It is no different for a business. Can you survive for another 3 or 4 months of being completely shut down? And can you keep your teams? Like, what are you going to need to have in terms of provisions in place in the event that happens? I think, if I were to look at this in terms of an opportunity as opposed to a challenge, there's a lot of inward conversations that need to take place right now. So doing an audit of my company, if I'm a tech founder, what value and the value proposition and solutions that I provide to my customers, what is still relevant? What is still going to be important to them when all this is said and done? Is it still relevant? And there's that hard-hitting conversation that every founder is going to have. What do I need to cut out and focus on the things that are really going to matter going forward? Because some things are going to pale, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's it's a tough position to be in, but it's also going to help you move forward, focusing on the areas that are really going to drive revenue going forward.
Yeah, exactly. Very well said. In fact, I believe one of the biggest challenge for any entrepreneur today is also achieving a healthy mindset, especially when the stakes are high. They're already dealing with analysis paralysis, and you cannot pour from an empty cup. So to all the entrepreneurs, I would like to say, stay calm. It is imperative that you carve out time to recharge yourself and bounce back. Coming back to Anna.
Great advice.
Coming back to Anna. Anna, talking of the investor sentiments, do you see any changes or alterations made to their investment principles? Are the VCs now looking to invest majorly in few businesses? And if yes, what do you think are those businesses?
Well, you know what? Certainly there's been a downturn and a slowdown in the VC market. In Q2, it was down over 40%. No surprise because of the pandemic. What I would say is investors are really looking keenly at reevaluations of the later stage companies, and because they're adjusting their cash flows downward, right? And then as it relates to entrepreneurs and early startups, they really need to look at their, as Stephanie just said, right? Instead of having a cash flow burn of 12 months, they ought to be looking at 18 to 22 months perhaps, right?
Okay.
So capital efficiency is going to be really important. There was actually, some slowdown in the Series B funding over the last several months. So investors are looking at, the later stage companies, whether or not they can have longer sustainability and have less reliability on the investor funding. So what that means is more availability in Series A funding with capital flow and early stage companies. And I think investors are also looking at, obviously the normal cash flow metrics, your cash burn, their ability to maintain it as long as possible. And the final thing I would say is with a lot of the emerging and growing markets, like, delivery of digital healthcare, for example, or manufacturing and digital transformation. So they're going to look at companies that are quick to innovate. And so that's going to be really important as they're making those decisions as to where to invest.
Definitely makes sense. Maybe it's time for entrepreneurs to reassess viability of their business model to incorporate these important suggestions.
For
It will
sure.
definitely help them in times to come.
For sure.
So Stephanie, keeping in mind the current scenario, where do you think businesses should go to raise growth capital?
That's a tricky one, and it comes up quite a fair bit in my conversations with both, tech companies as well as investors. It's no secret that investor portfolios have diminished because the proceeds that they use to reinvest are diversified in all kinds of different sectors outside of technology.
Yeah.
But it's also something that I've observed. Investors are very, very keen to continue to invest in the growth sector specifically. If it's a company that has a sustainable plan, if they have been able to pivot and recover quickly, or if they've sourced new avenues to forge their business through despite COVID, so they're pandemic proof. So there are those investors out there that are still looking to take an interest in a company that's a startup or whatever. What I would say though to an entrepreneur is to hold off on doing any heavy funding right now and utilize the current revenue to pad the growth path going forward for a little bit. I think that's the better way to go. Frugal is really what's going to save the day, in my opinion, going forward for the next little while until the climate settles. And I also think it's an opportunity to really deep dive into your business activities and say, what can I do to generate revenue and what am I exceptional at and what can I do to dominate the category that I'm in to drive growth and value proposition so that I can get that internal consumption with my existing clients and retain them and ramp up my conversion, right? So those activities are going to generate more revenue, which will pad the future growth, right? But I think we're thinking short term. We're no longer looking at a 5-year plan to, in 24 months, I'm going to hit the financing path and do this, this, and this. It's not like that anymore. I think we have to kind of think a little bit closer to where we're sitting and prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Absolutely. Some wise thoughts flowing in here.
Great advice.
And I'm a penny pincher.
That always helps, right?
Anna, you are the mind for numerous businesses, be it product-based or service-oriented. What do you think is the most common mistake most business owners make or are making in the current crisis?
Great question. Interesting. I actually just hosted a workshop this week on proactive leadership during a crisis. So very fitting question. It's the concept of proactiveness versus being reactive and balancing the short term and long term, to your point, Stephanie. And, my advice to businesses is, you have to plan your short term and your long term goals. And, as you said, the financial element of it is no longer looking at your resources and your cash flow over a quarter or over a semi-annual period or annual. You have to constantly test your model, test your assumptions against the actual results. And I'm talking, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. And that's really, really important to make sure that you've got a constant eye on, your cash flow. And that's absolutely key. The other piece of advice I would have is, don't let go of your long-term plans. And so, you may not be doing a 3-year or a 5-year projection, but you have to be looking at beyond COVID.
Yeah.
So what does beyond COVID look like with a new type of customer, new delivery, innovation, thinking about your brand and thinking about your customers, and what are new customer problems that you're going to be thinking about? All too often, businesses are just thinking about survival mode, and they've survived the last 5 months, and now we're getting ready for the next wave. You got to look beyond that, and so don't put the brakes on your long-term growth plans. It's a different eye on it and through a different lens.
You're absolutely right here, Anna. And my only suggestion to our viewers is use this as a wake-up call and learn from this situation. Please do not return to status quo, even when things get normal. So, Stephanie, let us imagine one morning you wake up as Honorable Navdeep Bains, Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry. Big post, big responsibility. What immediate change would you implement that would benefit smaller businesses?
I think making the funding a little bit more agnostic,
Okay.
so that it includes software as a service companies. There's a lot of focus on niche areas of innovation. So 5G is a big emerging interest by the government. Autonomous vehicles, all of these things that are so important. Of course, there's been a big push on all the things that are going to be out there to support COVID relief. But I think looking at those other areas, if you're in the growth sector and you've got a technology that you're using, advanced AI, machine learning, and CX experience, technologies, those are innovations that are equally as impressive and revenue generating to boost the economy than all those other ones are as well. They're equally as important. And I find when we're lasering in on a particular part of the sector, we're forgetting the bulk of the tech industry, which is the SaaS industry, that has incredible trailblazing technology as well. Sure. So I think kind of making the parameters a little bit more general, in that if you're doing innovation that's going to really impress and improve the economy, then that should be a consideration as well. The other area that I would think of is the word startups is very broad.
Yeah.
There's, seed companies and there's advanced companies who are, still have been around for a while, but they're under $1 million or hovering at $1 million. They're still considered a startup in some ways, but I think looking at a company that's quick to scale and being able to have them eligible for funding because they can collapse a lot of time and do significant good for the economy in that way. So there's a couple things there. And also, too, really a strong emphasis on programs that, like 1855, we're doing things that really drive and accelerate the growth of companies, opening the door for program funding that will be able to land companies out in the city centers that are doing wonderful things so that they can continue as a thriving, sustainable operation.
All I have to say is, booyah. We have a new contender for this post now. This answer is going to get you all the business votes.
Yes, exactly.
Where is he?
We're going to nominate you
come
now.
behind the door, the curtain?
So finally, some words of wisdom.
Yes.
Anna, what advice do you have for both young entrepreneurs and businesses as a whole?
You know what? I call it the SAP model. SAPP, right? It's a little bit of what I just talked about, but first of all, strategy and branding, really, really important. I talk about not letting go of your long-term plans, your marketing plans, but think about the new world, how customers are going to be coming to you. How are you going to reach your customers? How do you want to be viewed in the community and in the environment in terms of supporting your customers throughout, a pandemic or a crisis such as what we just had. So that's really important, it's the branding element. The A is about, really accelerating your IT and your digital strategy. And no longer can companies just be bricks and mortars. They have to find innovative ways to reach the customers, but also making sure that, we've been through a period where companies have really scrambled to support the remote workforce, for example. Yeah. So you got to make sure that your infrastructure is sustainable, security, supporting your people, supporting your new business model, whatever that looks like. The P is about protecting your cash and your capital. Yeah. So I'm going to emphasize it again. Really important to focus on your cash conservation, test your financial model, do it frequently, always assume the worst case scenario. I talk to a lot of businesses that assume such great optimism, and that's wonderful, but you have to always plan for the worst. And then the final P is the people. That's really the most important element. As a leader of a business or as a business owner, you really have to lead your people. You got to make sure that you take care of your people. You've got effective communication. You've got the right people in the right seats, clear accountability, so that everyone's driving to those same short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals at the end of the day.
Some golden words, Anna and Stephanie. And this reminds me of a famous saying from Isaac Newton. If I have seen further than others, it's by standing upon the shoulders of giants.
Great quote.
Bay Street Diary is a platform for entrepreneurs, small and medium-sized businesses to learn from the experiences and life lessons of moguls of the industry and think further ahead. Thank you, Anna, Stephanie, for being on our show and sharing your honest thoughts with our audience.
Thank you so much for having us.
It was such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bay Street Diary is helping entrepreneurs and businesses achieve their dreams. If you need professional or expert advice to fulfill your business targets, do not hesitate to write to me at neetu@baystreetdiary.com. I'll see you very soon with another great show. Till then, stay tuned, follow Bay Street Diary, subscribe to our YouTube channel, listen to our podcast, and stay safe, guys.